All right, welcome back. Doc Made Diet Podcast, episode number 12. Obviously, different look today. I'm not in my office anymore. I'm at the studio. I'm with my good friend Sean Lowery of United Monograms. This guy, we'll talk about him in a little bit, basically started a, how many $1 million? Are you at 10 million yet?
We've done like close to 20 over all time. About 5.5 last year.
All to your mom's basement, right?
All right, that's where it started.
So basically, we've gotten together right now, and he has a brand new warehouse. He's turned this into a podcast studio, his own podcast himself, The Sean Lowery Show. Check it out, over 100 episodes. And we're at his studio right now. We're basically doing my podcast, but he's hosting me. So it'll be technically my podcast episode at this studio, outside of the norm. It'll be my first interview. Going to be talking about health, variety of things, and let's get right into it, all right?
Let's go,
So
baby.
basically, Sean and I, we're good friends. Went to college together, pledged the same fraternity, always been kind of like-minded business-wise, and now we've decided to work together. So we created a new company called Allow.media, and basically we're trying to do almost model the Barstool, what's on their website, like
VT Post or like Outkick the Coverage, like with Clay Travis, but content, a content-based business.
content machine.
Yeah.
And Sean had a good saying in the past, he wanted to make it a social reference point.
So yeah, like a cultural reference point. That's right.
Yeah, we want to be able to help you guys. My wing, my job, my part of it is to provide the health information. And that's what my podcast obviously is about, if you've been listening to. And we're going to kind of all blend it together, have different wings, different content creators, different authors, blog posts, all coming down the pipeline. Hopefully you guys enjoy that. But let's get back to today's podcast. Today I want to talk mainly about health. So my first question for you is,
What's up?
you're a big mindset guy, right?
I am.
How many times have you been sick in your life?
In the last 17 years, I had a cold once, but I basically haven't been sick in 17 years.
No other health issues, no injuries, no illnesses, no colds.
Like maybe sprained an ankle once in college, but no major health issues at all.
None at all.
No.
Do you get the flu shot?
No.
Any vaccinations?
Not yet. No.
Not yet. Yeah. So why do you think that is? How could you go? People usually get sick at least once or twice a year. People have allergies.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you get them?
So I work out every day. That's the one good thing I do. But besides for that, I'm not necessarily like a health expert. That's your wing.
Right.
I love entrepreneurship, business, current events. I'm not necessarily a health expert, but my philosophy, which is not scientific, but I truly believe it, is basically, I think a lot of people get sick once a year, the same time every year. I think if you think about sickness in your head, you're bringing it in to your mind, and then your body, the mind and the body, they work together so much. Can you, as someone it was more on the body side, the mind and the body, they work together very much.
It's called psychosomatic, essentially.
Yeah.
Psycho, mind, somatic, soma means body.
Yeah.
So what you think and how you feel and react to things and how you perceive things will affect how you physically manifest them.
I believe that 1,000,000%, and I almost believed it before I even read it. I just know it's true.
Inherently knew it.
Inherently knew it.
Where'd you read it then?
Well, eventually I got some confirmation as I started to read a lot.
Okay.
I started with the mindset books, and then as I've thought about it more and more and more, it's some of the best advice that physical health people talk about. It's you have first get your mental health in order. But basically, I just don't, if I have a sniffle, I don't sound the alarm in my head that I'm about to get sick. I feel like a lot of people do that. You get a sniffle and you tell yourself inside your brain, and especially if you tell your girlfriends, your friends,
somebody else, right?
Yeah, that's the number. Inside your head is step one, and then if you say it outside your mouth, that's step two, and that is you can't really go back from. So you call in, you say you're sick, you're gonna be sick because you admitted it.
Yeah.
So
That's actually funny you say that, because I remember having a job years ago, and it was I was a dishwasher at a restaurant.
Okay.
And I was at a party, and I was supposed to go in that day. I really did not want to go in.
Right.
So I was preparing to call my boss. I was a high schooler, forgive me.
Yeah.
I lied, said I was sick. But I remember prepping for that phone call, and
hey boss, I'm not feeling good today.
I gotta sound sick. But I actually literally started feeling sick.
Of course, yes. That is not a surprise to me. That I believe that's my fundamental belief,
Right.
and that's why I haven't been sick. And I don't have a job that I want to call out of. I can't. I love working.
Yeah, obviously I'm beyond that point too.
Right. But a lot of people they're fine with not accepting what I'm saying because they do want to call out once in a while.
Yeah, I guess there are still a lot of people, our age and older, who don't want to go to work.
Yeah, so they want to call out, so they don't accepting this because that means that they can never call out of work if they accept this mindset, But since I'm not in that boat, I just think there's step one, and it's how you admit stuff to yourself in your head. And then step two, once you start telling people, like, it'll start to become more true. And and I'm talking about us mostly like a common cold or allergies or something that would like keep you out of school, like something where you stay in bed and eat chicken soup. Like those are the type of things that inside your own head. Now it's hard inside your own head. Like if you get a sniffle and it takes practice to like think about not thinking about it. Like you have to like basically not allow it into your head.
What do you think would help with that?
Practice.
What daily practice? Probably meditation, right?
I mean, meditation's a form of it. Yeah. Meditation is just basically how to practice your mind, like to do anything you want it to do. But like, it's hard to not think about something. It's like, don't think about a pink elephant. Don't think about a pink elephant.
In my head right now.
Right, yeah. But the more that you like practice, like the cadences in your head, like sniffle. If I think about this more, I guess like start thinking about something else. And like, I've gotten good at that. Like, I just don't allow the thoughts into my head that are like gonna go down the path of like, I'm going to be sick today. I might be sick tomorrow. Am I going to miss tomorrow? Like, well, how's this going to affect?
Combination of having other thoughts to distract you.
Yeah. Yeah. Just get back to what's important today.
Right. But what if like you're just laying in bed, you're done, accomplished everything?
Then I go to sleep and wake up for the next day.
As simple as that.
Yeah. Like, I never, what should I do? I always have something to do. And even on the days where I'm not 100% sure what I do, I still go through the cadence. It's like every Saturday, I'll just wake up, go to the gym, sit at my desk, and I'm like, okay, what just happened? I'm here. Like, it's 9 o'clock on Saturday. I have a whole day ahead of me. And I'm like, all right, this is cool. Like, maybe I'll hit the tennis ball against the wall and just get my thoughts together. But, like, I'm there. Like, I don't have time to be like, now I'm, like, at work, so now I'm not going to get sick. I'm already here. Yeah. So, yeah, I have a good, healthy, like, cadence of, like, I always have something to do. I always want to get to work. Like, get to the gym, get to work, and then, like, think. And you can think in the car, think in the shower. But, like, I just don't give myself time to do nothing. And that's when I start to have the thoughts of, like, oh, like, I need something to think about.
Right.
And the sickness thing's going into my head. Now I have a sniffle. Gotcha. So I just keep the thought out of my head. I believe what you think about comes true, whether it's positive or negative.
Yep. And that's actually a good point. That brings me back to my stories about my personal health story was basically stress, and stress can be caused about thinking of it.
Right.
Will bring to the surface any underlying condition.
Yeah, I believe that.
You may have. Like I've had a few different health crises in my life, and I go back and I look at them, and what's the common thread? I was stressed out.
Yeah.
My first one, I was in chiropractic college. I was living in Florida. I had a long distance relationship. I had an injury, and that kind of just snowballed into more injuries. And all of a sudden, 2.5 years later, I'm in this super stressful situation, and I'm feeling like crap. I did have to fix my health, fix my diet. I had some issues there, but until I actually changed my situation, I'm going to be honest, I got out of that long distance relationship.
Yeah.
Kind of a month after that, it all coincided with me doing everything to get my health back too, but removing that stressor allowed my body to heal.
Yeah.
Same thing when I was living in Arkansas. I was in a very stressful situation, not liking where I was living. I was totally isolated. The moment that I decided I'm done, I'm moving back home, I started feeling better.
Your physical health.
Yeah.
Like that's again, like some people might hear that and go like, whoa. Like to me, I'm like, yeah, of course. Like
it's hard to do though.
Well, that's where the skills, that's where like the mindset stuff comes in and the skills of like how to set your mind. Cause like I'm not an expert on all the physical health and eating like that, like you are, but like I like to start at the mind. Like just, it is hard. It's very, very hard to not worry.
It's not tangible.
Not stress out. I mean, I think it's like it's a skill that you can develop. There's some naturalness to it. What do you mean it's not tangible? Like what's not tangible?
Like I can have a checklist for like eat these foods at a certain time, eat a certain way, work out, exercise, log all that. It's tangible.
But not being stressed out is not tangible.
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to like not think like, okay, did I go one day without thinking about it? Do I log that down? Guess what? I just thought about what I'm trying to think about.
No, yeah, don't think about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so it's hard.
So that's why like it comes down to like positivity and just always kind of being positive, like whatever situation you're in. And like you can train your mind to that. Like something bad happens, and you have to react in your head. And like I think I've like trained my brain to be like, whew, all right, this sucks. But how can I just like frame this positively? And like I get in the habit, framing, perspective, framing. Anything that happens, be like, oh, all right. And usually my default one if something like really bad happens is like, oh, this will be a good story to like overcome. That's like the default one you can do for the worst thing that happens. Like everyone I love dies and I'm like, oh shit. Like obviously, go through the grieving process, but like you have to find a way to frame things positively, even the worst possible things you can think of. And the default one is just like, it's gonna be a great overcoming story where like this will be my low, and like it'll look really cool when I'm at my high.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like the default one. But sometimes it's more specific, like I don't know, the store is trying to get it in for the podcast room. It's like, all right, well maybe like this will be better because now I can get the timing to work out better. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a specific situation.
Yeah.
But that's like the default one
Basically,
for something that's really bad.
Your default mindset is not happening to me; it's happening for me. That's a Tony Robbins.
Yeah. And people talk about like toxic positivity, people that are always positive all the time, and I hate that. I hate that.
You hate that
because I hate it so much because it's like I always say like no one ever got stabbed in the heart and was like, yes, thank you, I got stabbed in the heart. This is great. Like you admit when things are bad, but like. I mean, if you die, when you get stabbed in the heart, you die. But if you don't die, then you have to reframe it and do it like, all right, I got this. I got to overcome this. Like, you can't go back and change the past. So just positively framing things in a realistic way is the answer to that. It's like anything that happens to you. You're stressed out in Arkansas. You're in this long-distance relationship. It doesn't mean don't fix the problems in front of you. That's the first thing you do. You fix the things you can control.
Right.
If it's things you can't control, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have to frame it in a positive way. And that's kind of the tangibleness to that positive mindset.
You always have an action step at least.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there's something you can do about something. So the action step is like, there's nothing you can do that's actionable. If it's a problem you can control, then you absolutely identify the problem, acknowledge the problem, and go control it, go fix it. And that's easy, but a lot of times you can't control it. And that's when this comes in. That's when you have to work on the framing of the situation. There's nothing you can do, and it's bad. So I'm going to be stressed. I'm going to have negative thoughts. But if there's nothing you can do, then you have to figure out a way to frame it positively so you don't get stressed and your body doesn't start reacting negatively and you don't get sick and you're not in bed and you're not depressed. Like
definitely takes work there.
It takes work.
It's not easy.
It takes work. It's like in the way to like do reps. Like if you want to get big biceps, you do bicep curls. That's a rep. Every day you go to the gym, if you do one rep, you're not going to have big biceps. You have to go to the gym. You have to keep doing it. Like the reps are like when little bad things happen. Like you're traffic and you're
right.
And you say to yourself, I'm so mad about this traffic, and you feel the anger start to come up, and you have this negative emotion like rising into your brain, and then you practice right there. It's a rep. Like, I'm not going to be mad about this. I can't control it. That's a rep. Yeah. So like any little situation, if you're scared of a spider and you see a spider and you're used to going, spider, like practice. It's a rep to be like,
not freaking
look,
out.
That's a spider. I'm usually freak out. I'm not going to freak out. It's a rep. So that's how you get better at it.
So like you saw the reps, it's just a less controlled environment because you just have to get the reps as life gives them to you.
Right. And can you manufacture them? Maybe, but that's like, you probably could.
You could just like create a bunch of drama and try to remain calm, but that's probably counterproductive.
Right, yeah, it's counterproductive to manufacture it. But
I get what you're saying. I definitely noticed that with meditation too. Like, that was probably the one thing when I first started meditating was I was like going through my day and something would happen and I wouldn't get upset about it. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, you know what? I usually get upset about that.
Yeah.
But now meditation has helped me kind of like just watch that thought, that anger thought, just kind of keep driving along.
Like I want to control my emotions throughout the entire day. I'm not going to let outside things affect my emotions because that's not going to have my day be maximalized the way I want it to be. Like,
right. Do you still meditate?
Yeah. I would say I meditate like a little less than I used to. I went through like 3 years, I would definitely do it like at least 5 or 6 days a week. One time I did like 60 days in a row, just 10 minutes.
On the Calm app?
Yeah, on the Calm app. But now I have the Oculus.
Okay.
And dude, it's the most amazing meditation in the world.
Really?
You put the Oculus on and he shows you this like these trees and like they have a little circle on the screen and you breathe for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, let go. And like as you breathe, like stardust comes out of your mouth and then you suck it back in. It's amazing, dude.
That's pretty cool.
It's amazing. And then you can go to like a little pond in Ireland behind a castle. You can go to like the beaches.
That's
and
awesome.
You look around like this and you see all this stuff. So I now meditate with the Oculus and I'm always like, I hope no one walks in right now because I look ridiculous.
That's pretty cool though.
But now I probably do it like 2 days a week.
Gotcha.
But I feel like I have it like ingrained in me from doing it. And basically for people who don't know, like meditation, it's easy as hell. You just sit there for 10 minutes and don't think about anything. It's
hard as hell at the same time.
Exactly. It sounds easy, but like I noticed that when I meditate, I'm like 2 minutes in, I'm like, dude, what am I doing? Like I got stuff to do. Like, I'm like, no. And then like 4 minutes in, I'm like, nice. And then like the last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like feels good. And then when you finish, you're like, I'm glad I did that. It's very similar to working out. And like, but working out is like, you lose your breath. Like this is just, it's hard, but like, it's easy as far as like you just sit there.
Such a counter.
But it's
thing.
exercise for your mind.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
like it's not as good as like the reps when problems come up in life and dealing with them, but like it's practice for that. It's exercise.
Right.
It's the same exact principle as exercise.
It's not as good
for your
because
mind.
the things that happen in real life is like game situations.
Yeah, exactly.
Meditation's like
Like if you're a basketball player, you're shooting free throws all day. Like the free throws in the game are the same exact thing, but they're more legit.
Yeah.
Like that's the game.
That's what you're actually preparing for.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you've done over 100 podcasts so far, right? You've had a few different health experts on. What are some of the top things you've learned so far doing the podcast?
Yeah. Two people pop into my head that I had on. And the first guy was this guy I think you started to listen to is Seamland.
Yeah.
Seam.
Yeah.
He's from like Norway or something like that.
I like his ideas though.
Like he's actually like I wanted to have someone on the podcast to talk about anti-aging, fasting, and like how to live long and kind of like that level of health.
Gotcha.
And he's who I found. He said he has to come on the podcast. He has like 120,000 subscribers on YouTube. If you go back and watch the podcast, his face is very close to the camera, which I think is like almost his signature now. It's like during the whole podcast, I was like, why is his face so close to the screen? But
what's his name again?
His name is I thought it was like a nickname, but his first name is Seam, and his last name is S-I-I-M, and his last name is Land.
Yeah.
I thought it was like, oh, Seamland. That's like your YouTube name. He's like, no, my name is Seamland.
When I first started following him, I thought it was Slimland.
Yo, I thought that too.
Yeah, like here, follow me, be slim. This is my Slim Land.
Yeah.
But no.
No, it's like his last name's
This
Land.
goes how show dumb Americans are, I guess.
His last name's Land. Yeah, so Seamland. But one thing that like I really liked that he said in the podcast was, tell me if you know this phrase. It's called epigenetics.
Yeah.
It's basically you can change your genetics.
Right.
Like
Every that's why I say every food choice you make, you're either eating for health or eating for disease because it's impacting your genes. And this is so interesting as we kind of get into the topic of, having kids. Like we have influence right now. What we're doing has influence on our future kids. Genetics.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. So that's basically,
wild.
that's the idea of epigenetics. Like your genes are predetermined to a certain degree, but you still have influence over them.
Right.
So genetics are kind of like loading the gun, but our lifestyle pulls the trigger.
And like,
on that
and
gun.
it's like nature versus nurture is like one of my favorite conversations. I've gone deep into it. I've thought so deeply about it so many times. There's no right answer. It's a little bit of both. But like the nature element is basically your environment and the things that aren't in your genes. Like over time, they can change your actual genes and you pass on.
Right.
Like if you are right-handed and your whole life you force yourself to become left-handed, that increases the chances that like your offspring will be left-handed. I just made that up off the top of my head.
I was going to question you on that one, but
But that's the idea.
all right. So let's take that example, that handednness example.
Yeah.
What you're basically saying is behavior influences genetics, right? We know that through evolution.
And like it's not going to change in a day.
Right.
But
it could take generations sometimes.
But it also
look at animals. Like they develop like defense mechanisms based on like where their environment is.
Yeah.
Like they could change color. Like a freaking octopus can change any color it needs to be, make any shape, and they develop that over years to survive.
Yeah. See, selfishly, I don't like the example of evolution because like I don't care about 20 generations from now. Like how can this affect like the more immediately? Like like I want people to know that like you as you are now, like you can create a better version of yourself with the right mental health and in this lifetime.
Definitely.
And like that is what I'm more interested in.
But I use the evolution example as a educational preface to how epigenetics works.
Right.
But it doesn't need to take generations.
Right.
That's how we see it and we observe it, but it's absolutely tangible and it can happen in a lifetime.
Yeah.
For sure.
So like someone, if they were going to be against what we're saying, they're going to be like, you can't change your height. You can't change your skin tone.
That's bone structure.
Yeah.
Skin tone is pigment.
If you can't change your and I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, right.
If you can't change your skin tone, your height, like you're telling me you can change how athletic you are or how long you'll live or how healthy you are or like your mental strength, like no, your height's set in stone. Your ability to handle stressful situations is set in stone. Your ability to run fast is set in stone. Like just like your height is.
Well, first of all, it's a very fixed mindset as opposed to a
that's
growth
bad.
mindset.
And even if that's the thing, even if what we're saying is wrong, you might as well believe it because it's like it's going to create more positivity and you might as well believe it.
At the same time, you got to be grounded in reality, though, and Like,
you're not going to get taller if you're already set in your height.
right. Sorry,
Yeah.
but if you're 5'1", you're not going to the NBA. It's just not going to happen.
Tell that to Muggsy Bogues.
He wasn't 5'1".
He was like 5'2".
Whatever. All right. He's absolute exception.
I get it.
Exception. And he was a hell of an athlete too. Like if you're 5'1",
you're not going to change your height.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that can be changed, like your gut microflora, your gut health, your mental health, your strength, your vitality, everything. There are manipulatable factors, but there are non-manipulatable factors like height and skin tone.
And if you think about it, like, and with Simlen, we talked about this too, like how crazy and cool it is that the human body, if you get a cut, like you got stabbed at a concert, like, is it still bleeding?
No.
It healed itself. I mean, you got stitches, but stitches are just like holding it together so the body can heal itself. Like, the body heals itself. Think about that. You cut your arm, and then like a week later, it's not cut anymore.
The body has an innate ability to heal. In chiropractic, we call it innate intelligence.
Okay, yeah.
The body heals from the inside out. Basically, as a chiropractor, my philosophy and chiropractic philosophy, the founder, D.D. Palmer, his philosophy was, all we do is remove the interference as chiropractors and allow the body to heal itself.
So to the person who's being the devil's advocate, how do you explain that? If you can't improve like your microbiome and your mental health, like how does the body heal itself? It can clearly like do crazy stuff. It can clearly heal itself. Like the body has powers. Like, yes, you can't change your height, but like look at that power. How do you explain that logically? Like you can't. So like you can change your mental health. You can change your gut biome.
Right.
And
you always have presets though that are gonna. It might be harder for me
some
than
people.
it is for you.
Right.
But there still is progress to be made. And that comes back to, like I said, the fixed versus growth mindset.
Yeah.
But the body sometimes can almost work against you. The body is smart and can heal itself, but in the example of like autoimmune disease, basically usually caused by poor food choices, destroys your gut lining. Food particles kind of pass through your gut lining, and now the body recognizes these foreign particles in the blood that shouldn't be there, and it starts attacking itself. Hence the term autoimmune. The body's smart, and it realizes these things shouldn't be there, but it's not quite smart enough to realize that it's coming from the body.
Yeah.
So it's attacking itself.
Like, what should the body do?
Just let
it go through?
Well, the body should have an immune system. And it should, I guess the body really doesn't have a choice at that point.
Yeah. Well, maybe the body should like spark pain in you so that you don't do it again.
Right.
But it's not that smart.
No, it's not that smart. Yeah.
Like, what if every time you ate like something unhealthy, you got like a zap of like pain?
Great.
That would be awesome off the body.
That's why I tell some patients sometimes when they come in, especially the younger ones, and they come in and we look at their x-rays, and they already have like the neck, say, of like an 80-year-old.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Wow.
They're so upset. They start crying. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe all this arthritis and degeneration, disc issues, pain down my arms. Like, what am I going to do? But I tell them the good news is you're still young. It's still fixable. So the fact that you had pain was actually a good thing. It brought you in and told you there was an issue. I see people all the time too who don't have any pain their whole entire lives. They get to age like 65 and boom, all of a sudden their neck is like in phase 4 degeneration. And sometimes we can't help them. If they had pain bad enough to get them to go to see me when they were 20, 25, 30,
Why can't you help them when they're 65?
Because at some point you have so much arthritis and so much bone degradation. The body has been dealing with it, laying down more bone to try and basically super glue and shore everything up.
It's interesting.
That there's just no more. You can't get that curve back in the neck. You can't get those bones moving again perfectly. Now we could still help them.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. We could definitely still help them, but in terms of being able to fix it and get that whole curve back in the neck, and whatever the case may be, chiropractically speaking, not always going to happen when you have that phase 4 degeneration.
Interesting. Like, I kind of want to get back to that, but like, just kind of stay on track. Like, but that was from Simlen, epigenetics.
Right.
And then the other person that I had on that taught me a lot was this guy had cancer, Matt Newman, and this guy's been on like ESPN. He like talked about his story a lot, and he is a huge advocate of like he beat the cancer because of his mindset. Like, it's just being positive, and like that was another thing I learned on the podcast about health. Those are the two things. Yeah, Simlen, and that's a good episode. He had a lot of other stuff in there, and then just that's very simple. Like,
why more of this Matt Newman guy? You know what kind of cancer he had?
Brain cancer.
Brain cancer.
Yeah. Like the worst one.
Right.
And he's like all good now.
What kind of medical procedures did he have?
He did all the stuff, chemo, all that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
We talked about his mind. Okay.
Like he was like saying it was just my mindset. Like, yeah, I did like the basic stuff, like that helped, but he saw a lot of people that died. Like, I almost like feel like it could easily argue against them in a lot of ways. But
Yeah,
that was
right.
that, and a lot of people I feel like would be like when they had it. It just was cool to see someone who actually had it say that was his cure, was the fact that he like stayed so positive. And you can go back and listen to the episode and stuff, but like he's all good now. I follow him on Instagram.
His message, whether he's full of crap or not, I think his message it's still a good idea to get that out there.
Yeah.
To people suffering with that.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, I mean, doctors say, I think when you get cancer, like, be positive. Like, it's, obviously we'll do the medicine stuff, but like, it just shows that. And it's hard to, people don't like to hear that. And it's very negative news when you get cancer. So like.
Yeah. But like I said earlier, stress will bring to the forefront.
Right. Exactly.
Any underlying pathology.
And that's when you have to like use those skills.
Yeah.
And he was already kind of set up for it. Like he was doing well in his career. He had been reading books. Like.
Right.
It'd be like if I got diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, like he was at the right stage to like attack it, like with like his
I guess that matters too. I guess you take him versus somebody who's diagnosed with cancer, say that they grew up in a bad home,
right,
bad neighborhood, all these bad things just have been happening to them their whole entire lives, like their family members go to jail, got shot, whatever.
Right.
They got cancer, their prognosis is probably a lot worse because they don't believe they could change their
exactly. And he actually said this. He said he was a financial advisor and he was doing really well in his career, but like he did have like. Because of that, he like had all the right financial tools and money put away. So like he didn't have to worry about like the money element.
It's a huge thing too.
Like he didn't have that stressor. He didn't have he had a great wife. He had a couple kids. He didn't have the stressor of finances. He was like at a good place in his career where he was like, he could take all his energy and like focus it on being positive. And like, it works, but like it was easier for him to be in that situation than it might be for somebody who's like, oh man, I was just in between jobs and like, my mom just died and like, I'm trying to figure out my life. And then you get diagnosed like that.
That's bad.
Like either way, it works, like the positive mindset, but it's
Still
harder,
works.
but it's much harder. Like he was already reading books like right before this about like the power of the mind. Like, so he was in like the perfect situation to kind of hit it like financially, mentally, like his family life was all good.
And that just goes to show how everything you do in life is all interconnected.
Yeah.
Your finances, your personal life, your career, and your health all are symbiotic with each other.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a specific diet philosophy? Do you have any kind of general rules you go by, or you kind of just like what do you try to do on a day-to-day basis?
So I think I said this to Shelby the other day because we were eating like an unhealthy meal. I'm like, all right, so I'm just gonna like just go to the gym every single day at 5 a.m. Just eat whatever I want because I'm a fat ass. Like
that's your philosophy.
like,
just out
like I was kind of joking when I said that, but like I don't have some crazy philosophy. So I
don't follow
exercise.
You don't follow like you're not like obviously like a veganism or
no.
Like,
I love meat.
you're not like
I'm a fat ass.
You're not like keto. You're not like you don't do any like named diet.
I truly believe in the nutritional advantages of fasting. Like I've read, like me and Simlan talked about that.
Right.
Like it's hard to do, and like so I try to just skip breakfast every day, and like I've done a 48-hour fast.
Do you have a window?
Not like I do. I have the app called Zero, and like I hit it on. It's basically just a timer.
Yeah.
And like I respect it every time I do it. Like the past like 2 weeks I've been doing it as much. I'll go through stretches where like I try to get to like 16 or 18 hours. I just try to get as far as I can. Sometimes I'm at like 9 hours and I'm like, I still respect the button though. I respect the button, so I like respect the fasting.
So you hit the button when you start eating, and then
No, you hit the button when you start eating, and then you hit the button again like whenever you want to stop eating. Yeah. Sometimes it might be a day later, 2 days later, but like I don't do it every day. But
all this does is just track how many hours.
Yeah, it's very simple. You could just like, put a note on your hand or something.
Stopwatch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the app like tracks it over time and stuff like that. But I skip breakfast. I go to the gym every single day, and I don't eat fast food and stuff like that. Like I do sometimes, but like if I eat unhealthy, it's because I'm eating like too much because I'll go back for a second serving. But I eat healthy foods. I eat like every time I go, even if I'm getting Chinese food, I try to get like the broccoli and chicken. Like, is it good for you? Like, no, it's got sauce all over it. Like, I never lie to myself. Like, I know this is unhealthy, but at least get the broccoli in there. Like, at least get the vitamins. Like, I get my vitamins, and I take a lot of vitamins.
Okay. What do you take?
I take B12, calcium. I got them all over there in my drawer. Where's some other ones? Good ones.
Vitamin D.
What?
Vitamin D.
Yes, vitamin D. Learned a lot about that during the coronavirus thing.
Yeah.
That was the biggest heal for it. So yes, I started taking like vitamin D.
90% of hospitalized patients are vitamin D.
It's basically just sun. It's just like being outside and like that vitamin.
Omega-3, you should be taking omega-3.
I don't take omega-3. Oh, is that fish oil?
Yeah.
I take fish oil.
Okay, probiotic?
Yeah. No. I had this packet of vitamins where a probiotic was in there. I got to get that one. Take like cranberries, like urinary tract health.
Okay.
Like, I don't know. Just a bunch of them. And like every time I go to the store, I kind of get some different ones. I should probably be a little more scientific with it, which is like why I'm not the best person to talk about my philosophy. I guess my philosophy is like, philosophy is like, I take vitamins, I try to eat healthy foods, I work out every single day. I'm all about my mental health. And then like
just those two things, just exercising every day and practicing fasting, will have a lot of health benefits. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and like I need to lose like 8 pounds right now, but like over the past like 8 years, 2 times I lost like 15 pounds, and so I've done it twice, and like I understand, like if I need to lose 20 pounds, 15 pounds, like I can do it, and it's just hard. Like it's a mental commitment because you're going to be hungry.
Right. You got to deal with the hunger.
You got to deal with the hunger. Mm-hmm. And like, it's very, like, if like at the stage I'm in at this moment, like I probably need to lose like 6-7 pounds. I still work out every day. Probably could eat healthier. Like I'm not like, if I'm very, very hungry, I'll like eat something like, but I, in my head, I'm like, if I were trying to lose those 8 pounds that I'm talking about, I would not eat right now and have to deal with this pain. It's hard to deal with it. The best thing, when I'm losing weight and I'm dealing with that pain of hunger, my number one approach to attacking it is to just go to bed. Like I'll literally go home at like 6 and like take melatonin and just like sleep. So like, cause I don't have to deal with the pain if I'm sleeping.
Right. But the trick I like to say is when you're hungry like that, you almost got to think to yourself, yeah, all right, this is working.
Yes.
I'm losing weight.
It's one of those mental tricks.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like learn to love it. You're right. And that's kind of what I did. I was like, this is what I'm doing right now. And it's like, all you got to do, like I'm already at a good point, like so I'm in good shape. Like, so if I want to lose 10 pounds, like all I got to do is just string together like 12 perfect days.
Right.
Like I could do a perfect day. I'll do a perfect day probably like once a week.
Right.
Like I'll fast, I'll have a healthy dinner, I'll work out. Like I just got to string them together and then I lose 8 pounds.
Yeah.
Like so it's all about stringing them together. And then it gets hard. So I guess my philosophy is work out, generally eat healthy foods, take vitamins, and know that if I'm ever in a crisis, like I know how to lose 10 pounds. Like
practice a little bit of fasting as well.
Yeah, right. Like understand that it's very hard. And I acknowledge sometimes when I am hungry, like, okay, this is that feeling that I'm going to have to fight off when I decide to lose 8 pounds, like in a couple of weeks. Like,
right.
And acknowledge it. So I know that how difficult it is.
Get comfortable with it.
Get comfortable with it. And acknowledge it when you feel it. Like, and here's the one thing that's the hardest thing to know is like that feeling of hunger, it's actually healthy. Like we've been trained as kids to be like, that
our society,
you're gonna need to eat.
Yeah.
Like a grandma's like, here's your mac and cheese, kid. You got to eat. Don't. Did your mom before you leave for school? Did you eat breakfast? Like,
every meal, you
shoving food in your face.
You got to eat until you're not hungry anymore.
Yeah, and you were trained as a kid to never be hungry because that's bad. And like, so I guess one of my philosophies is knowing this information.
Hunger isn't a bad thing.
Hunger is a good thing. It's actually like the advantages that fasting have, like cleaning out your body. And like restarting up your immune system, like yes, yeah, and that's Simland's book, a metabolic autophagy, and it's just basically all the advantages of fasting.
Exactly.
So one of my philosophies, even though I'm not perfectly practicing it, is just to know this stuff and be aware of it.
It's so hard for us as humans. We're animals. We've evolved. Hunger used to be like a bad thing,
right?
Because we would only eat, once or.
It's an evolutionary problem.
Exactly. So when we get hungry, we go into survival mode. And we look for the nearest food source to get that bad feeling down. But now that you can get food. You got a refrigerator right there.
Yes, and there's food in it.
It's like we're not going to starve to death, but our brains still think that we're going to.
Right.
So we need to. That's another example of where the body's smart because it's helping us keep us alive, but it's not ideal.
It's like outdated.
Exactly.
It needs like a software update.
Outdated software.
Yeah, and like it honestly might update in like 10,000 years.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. We're not going to see it.
Yeah, we're not going to see it. That's something that our generation, next generation, like hunger. It's important.
Once we've been living with grocery stores and refrigerators for 10,000 years.
For like 10,000, 20,000 years, right? Yeah. So that's why it's so important for people to know that hunger is not bad. It's actually good. And people don't know that.
And the other frustrating thing is a lot of fitness and diet experts like to say, do my program, lose weight, never be hungry. Like, come on. If you hear that,
that's like a sales pitch to like to your emotions. And like, hey, I love sales.
Everybody wants that. Like, here, take this magic pill. It's the same
exactly.
thing, But you're gonna have to deal with hunger at some point. It's good to practice getting comfortable with that hunger feeling now before you have to get to that point. And then if you get to that point, you never dealt with hunger before, you're gonna fail. That's why people fail with diets.
Right.
because they get hungry and their survival mechanisms kick in and they go and grab a ice cream, pizza, whatever the case may be. They stop thinking logically because your brain is designed to eat to survive.
Yep.
So,
Yep. So that's my lazy ass philosophy. It's just knowing this stuff, talking about this stuff, being aware of this stuff. Doesn't mean I practice it perfectly.
No.
I drink too much. I definitely drink too much. Like, and now Simland did say, alcohol is like not the worst thing in the world. It's like it's like if you have a glass of red
I want
wine,
to talk about that too.
it's like a stressor on your body, in a little bit, which is like keeps it going a little bit.
But sometimes there's a good stress.
Yeah, right.
There's bad
that was a
stress.
segment in our podcast. Good stress versus bad stress.
Distress and eustress, EU stress.
Like exercise is stress. It's stressing out the body,
right,
to make it like stronger.
But it's good. And alcohol, people ask me all the time if, can I drink on this diet? Like I know it's not technically allowed. Alcohol in itself, even if like it's just like a bad choice, like a bad alcohol, like just like some crappy domestic beer, it's technically poison. The fact that you're having a beer and it's like relaxing your mind, and you're probably like hanging out with friends and relaxing, having a conversation.
Right.
That if alcohol was the vehicle to get you to that state of mind and relieve that stress, then that has value.
Yeah. Like the worst thing for me about alcohol is just a Blue Moon has like 300 calories.
Right.
Besides for that, it's zero negative effect on my life.
Right. And you got to weigh it. It's like those 300 calories.
Exactly.
You had a great time. You had a great thought. You had a great business
idea.
You
stayed up late. Exactly.
Right. So, like, was it worth it? Probably.
Most of the times, it probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I like to think when I'm had a few drinks, and like sometimes I have some great ideas. Like,
no, obviously, I don't want to co-sign on somebody's bullshit and say have a 12-pack a night because it makes me feel good. Like there's use and there's abuse.
Yeah.
If you're using something,
right? The abuse of alcohol is like. It's not what we're talking about. Like,
right.
It's like, B-Mate said I could drink, so like if it affects your life negatively, if you're not showing up for work, like if you're struggling, like if anything that is bad for you, it's like a sex addiction, like a alcohol addiction, a weed addiction. Like, okay, it's not physically addictive, but like if it's affecting your life negatively, then you got a problem. Even exercise.
I was going to bring up weed too. Like weed on the surface has like no deleterious health effects.
Yeah.
It's like better than alcohol.
Yeah.
But somebody could like cause a lot of anxiety and like, okay, they shouldn't do that.
Right.
But
yeah, it's not addictive. Like it's like nicotine's addictive.
Some people can be addicted to weed.
But I think they're addicted to like it's physically like proven to be like not addictive. Yeah, they're addicted to the activity of it.
Isn't addictive.
Right. It's like because it's like a hobby. It's something that you like do and you like meet up with friends. You go to get it from the guy. It's like part of your day. And like that, if that's your life, like, yo, dude, you're a lazy stoner. Like,
right.
Like you can smoke weed to be super productive. It just depends.
Do you think the majority or the minority of weed smokers like smoke weed and are productive, or do you think most of the time it's just to like relax and kind of live that stoner lifestyle? Or do you think more people smoke weed and are like high functioning, like CEOs, or like more like kind of like the college age stoner?
I'd say more like
not really motivated.
I'd say on the average more would be like lazy stoners.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah. So like it's on you, and it's also like takes time to do it. Like if you're a super productive person, you don't have time to like. It's like go. It's like smelly, and like you gotta like go somewhere. It's like that's like
in most states you have to like find a drug dealer.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's a hassle. Like
right.
So like it's all just like that's how I know like I have no addiction. Like it's like I barely ever do that anymore, just because like I'm always working. Like it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And like. That lifestyle is not interesting to me at all. Like a stoner lazy lifestyle. So like I think more people have the stoner lazy lifestyle.
Right. But back to the original point was.
But if you do it at night and you feel good and it's a de-stressor, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, then go for it. Same with alcohol. Like it's going to be calories. They're not going to benefit you.
I hate that. I wish alcohol had no calories. I wish you could like smoke it or something. Like
yeah. But then it wouldn't have that same effect. We're probably also like kind of probably like drinking it too.
Yeah, true. Like tastes good.
Yeah,
like,
we smoked it, just the act of it. So it's more than just the calories and the chemistry of what's actually in the cup. It's the act of what's surrounding it and the people around it.
And if that's negative, then it's bad.
Right. But it definitely could be used for good.
Yeah.
So you said you wanted to get back to the chiropractic talk. That I was talking about the neck curve and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Question there.
All right. So. I'm so fascinated in the topic of like living forever. I want to live forever. I don't ever want to die. I want to live forever. Like there's a lot of research on this topic and like longevity, right? And like there's this guy Peter Thiel. He's like the founder of PayPal. He's like doing deep research on like how to live forever. Like people are really starting to talk about it. And I've had this guy on my podcast talk like that does CRISPR, which is like kind of for kids, but it's in the same realm of like kind of injecting something to find the place in your genes that like aging exists. And like I think we talked about this before, but
Yeah, I've heard there's a gene for aging.
one of the things it comes down to is the telomere. It's the end of your DNA strand, and it's like the way it was explained to me is it's like the end of a shoelace, like that little piece of the end of a shoelace, like that little metal piece.
Yeah, yeah.
Or not metal, plastic usually.
Yeah.
Like the one that like the cap on the shoelace that
right.
you like it allows you to put it through the hole. That's like essentially what a telomere is. And like over time, like that wears down. But if you can keep that telomere like put together, like you can like won't age.
Yeah.
Like that thing is the key to aging. And like if you think about it, like the gene does stuff over and over and over, like the cap wears off. So like that is like the genetic key to like to longevity. Like if you could, whether it be now, some of the things that people probably don't want to hear is like, how do you keep your telomere longer? It's like exercise, healthy eating, like of course. Like I mean, I'm interested in that stuff, but I wanna like inject something in me and like live forever, like not age, go back in age.
So
like,
it's almost like the things that keep you alive longer are the same things that keep you better while you're alive.
Yeah.
Which is healthy eating and
right,
dieting
and like that's why that stuff's so important.
Right.
But I'm going like a level more here with like
you're trying to get more advanced.
more advanced. So like I don't think 65 is old at all. I think 65 is so young. So that's why I didn't like when you said that, like, she's 65, like, we can't do it. Like, it's too late to recorrect her spine. Like, is that, and you explained it as, like, bone density and stuff. Like, I refuse to believe that. Like, because I don't think 65 is old. Like, is it because she had bad health? Or, like, if I'm 65 and I have a health problem, like, I'm not going to be like, whatever, I give up. I got 10 years left. Like,
no, like I said, it's not that we can't help her at all. It's just that we cannot chiropractically get those x-rays to change.
So like her neck, right? What was the specific problem?
Basically, you should always have a curvature in your neck, a lordotic curvature, okay? When we lose that curve, our head and neck flexes forward. All that pressure from the weight of our head is now acting on the frontal aspect of those discs, and we develop arthritis. Basically, the body lays down more bone, more calcium. We call them bone spurs. We call them osteophytes. And it inhibits and reduces the disc space.
Okay.
Makes us
disc
more prone,
space.
Yeah, it makes us more prone to disc herniations, but they always herniate posterior and laterally, and will restrict the range of motion because there's more bone, and now there's less room for those bones to move around. Those bones have expanded, they've gotten bigger.
Oh, dang. And like, there's not like only 65.
As of right now,
like if that lady maybe grew up in a time where she had this information that we're giving and she ate healthier, like would she look different at 65? Like, is it because she was 65 or is it because it was her at 65?
It's because it was her at 65.
Okay.
I've seen 65-year-olds who are plenty healthy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It all depends. Basically, it's like any health condition. There's the preset, there's your genetics, and there's your lifestyle. And if you live a lifestyle where you probably don't exercise, you don't care about your posture, depending on your job, that's a huge part of it too. If you're just typing all day at a desk,
right,
you're more likely to have that. So these are things you need to be aware of.
Right. Ergonomic chairs and ergonomic desks, and standing desks,
matters.
like just true. That's probably something I don't think about enough.
And then
posture.
And traumas, car accidents, sports injuries.
Oh, like legitimate like hits.
Yeah,
like,
and then one trauma we don't talk about at all is birth. You get freaking yanked out.
I never thought about that.
Like if you have a neck, a lot of people have neck injuries from birth. Like
dang,
we see kids.
Really?
I see 14-year-olds with reversal of the curve. Now it could be from birth. It could be because they're on their phone, but it's a combination of things.
Dang.
So there's all these things that we don't really think because it's going inside of our body. Unless our body gives us signals, going back to the pain is a good thing.
Yeah.
Topic.
Like
we don't know.
Like I mean, obviously people should go listen to your podcast, but like with all this like great stuff we're talking about, like I don't think about posture that much. Like what are like. How should I just? What is a quick tip?
It's so hard.
Like, should I stretch?
It's so hard.
Like, I try to stretch.
Fix your posture.
Like, I try to stretch a lot.
Right.
Like, is that good?
Stretching is good. Exercise is good. But here's the thing: you don't really know. Like, I could tell you like all the good things to do for your car engine, but if you have a car engine problem, what's the first thing you gotta do? You gotta open the hood and look at the freaking engine.
So it's like the answer to that question is like individually based.
And you kind of need to take X-rays and see.
Okay, but that's something that like people should do. Like I should do.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
I don't want to get to 65 and be like, you can't change it.
Exactly.
And I never think about my posture.
That's why the wellness paradigm and the preventative medicine, if this country were to practice preventative medicine, we wouldn't have like $3.2 billion in medical debt. That's why if we could prevent these problems before they occur by getting X-ray, getting your posture analyzed, we could help eliminate all these problems down the road.
Dang. All right, that's something I'm going to start thinking about more.
Right.
Posture.
And so many of my patients will come to me and we'll take x-rays and we show them these posture analysis. Some people are like, yeah, I kind of had like a feeling, but most people are like, I had no idea that my head was like shifted 2 millimeters to the left. That's causing arthritis breakdown here. It's caused my shoulder pain. So it's a good thing to get checked out and prevent it, because it's not only going to save you time, but save you a lot of money down the road.
Right.
Too. So
Wow.
that's where all that comes from.
That's
but
good.
Back to the 65-year-old lady, yeah, if she were to get checked out sooner, we could have helped avoid all these things. And who knows, in the future, maybe, if somebody's 70 and they have a terrible neck, we could just like replace all the bones in their neck. Maybe some kind of crazy. Maybe my job will be obsolete.
Or you could be the first one to create a company that does that or something like that.
Right. Get a new freaking neck. But as we're at right now, we're not even anywhere close to that, because there's only one surgery in the medical world that has a failed syndrome, and that's failed low back surgery syndrome. Wow. There is no failed surgery syndrome, failed elbow surgery syndrome. There's failed low back surgery syndrome because the back is so complex and so difficult to work with. So that just goes to show you we're pretty far away from just going to the grocery store and getting a new neck. So I think I have some job security for the near future.
All right, you're good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
And back to the telomere length conversation as well. Deed Harrison, probably the best chiropractor alive right now.
Yeah? What's his name? Deed Harrison?
D-E-E-D.
Okay.
I interned at his clinic out in Eagle, Idaho, the Ideal Spine Health Center. And guy's prolific researcher, just always researching, giving us the why behind the chiropractic. And he did a study. I remember I was at a seminar out there, and it was like breaking new study. I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago, that proved that improving the cervical lordosis, what I was just talking about, getting that curvature back in the neck, actually has been proven to lengthen telomeres.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. So, now I'm engaged.
Yes, I knew that would get you.
Yeah. Okay.
So better cervical curvature, longer life.
And like down to a genetic level with the telomeres.
Exactly.
Like, okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
I'm going to start engaging more in the Doc May Diet podcast, of course. And chiropractic. I mean, hey, like anything that keeps that telomere healthy, I'm interested. It kind of makes sense, like your posture, the flow of everything.
That's why chiropractic is so much more than just pain relief. Like, yeah, we're good at getting pain, relieving pain, because we've figured that out, because that's what people come to us for. But it's way more than that.
Yeah.
It's about lifespan.
Yeah.
It's about preventing future problems. It's the whole wellness paradigm. Yeah. I know the term wellness gets thrown around. Like, people think they could just, light like a candle, like, oh, it has this herb, wellness. No, like, this is real, tangible, measurable stuff on the X-rays.
Right. And you're teaching me this in real time, and you're going to be one of the leading voices on this topic.
Yeah.
Doc May. Yeah. That's your field. That's your industry. People need to hear about it. Like,
I know.
Not enough people are talking about it.
That's why I'm doing what we're doing. That's why we're starting together.
Exactly.
That's why, I was doing weight loss consulting and obviously my chiropractic business, but I can only see so many people myself, right? In my office, on the phone. By doing what we're doing now, we're able to get this message out to so many more people. Right. I don't care if one extra person hears about this right now. It'll be worth it.
Yes, exactly. I love that.
Yep.
I love that.
So that kind of gets back to what we're doing, working together. Allow Media, go follow us.
Yeah. Allow me. We've got some great Instagram posts on there. I love it.
Cool. I don't have any other questions. Anything else you want to talk about?
No.
Cool.
Let's wrap it up.
All right,
Tell them goodbye.
Thanks for listening. Doc My Diet Podcast, episode 12. Good friend Sean Lowery here. Hopefully you got some value out of it. We hope to provide a lot of value in the future. See you next time.